What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to talk about my personal favourite villain that came around in the Rise of the Red Skull expansion. It's Taskmaster. And Taskmaster has forced me to play in a weird way where I'm kind of deliberately delaying trying to win for a little while. Let's explain, shall we? Although, let's be clear, that only really applies to when we're going through the Rise of the Red Skull campaign. If you're just playing it as a random encounter, as a one-off, it's not quite the same. So Taskmaster then, if you look at the stats, things escalate fairly quickly. From 1 scheme 2 attack in stage 1, to 2 scheme 2 attack in stage 2, to 3 scheme 3 attack in stage 3. Which is... we don't usually see a jump like that going between stages, so that can get kind of harsh fairly quickly. And the thing about Taskmaster is, it just does not like heroes. And I love thematically it's like that. If you can somehow stay in alter ego mode for the entire time, you'll have a much nicer time playing against Taskmaster. Now, all 3 of the stages have the same response here. After a player changes to hero form, they discard the top card in the encounter deck and take damage equal to the number of boost icons on that card. And you might get lucky and take 0, and that's lovely, but some of the cards have 3 boost icons, which means you could be swapping and taking 3 damage. Now you look at someone like Hawkeye, who's only got 9 HP to begin with, that is a significant chunk. And that is on all 3 of the stages. But then stages 2 and 3 also have a skill whereby when Taskmaster is revealed, each player gets dealt an encounter card. Which again, that's kind of mean. Certainly if you're playing on expert mode here, you've got 2 extra encounter cards coming through the game, which is not ideal. So yeah, lots of mean stuff going on with Taskmaster, but it keeps going. Because you see, what we've got is hunting down heroes. This is the main scheme. There's only 1 scheme here for Taskmaster. And what we've got is when you're setting up, you set each captive ally aside, we'll get there in a minute, and you search the encounter deck for Hydra Patrol and put it into play. Now, interestingly enough, Hydra Patrol actually starts the game in play, even though it's not necessarily one of Taskmaster's cards. But it is from an encounter set that you kind of have to put in with Taskmaster here. It's a 2-threat side scheme, but it's a crisis side scheme, so it has to be defeated before you take out the main scheme. And when it's defeated, each player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a Hydra minion and puts it into play, engage with them. So you've got this side scheme that starts in play, and you've got to kind of take it out, or else you can't go after the main scheme. But if you do, you have to take a minion. Now, of course, the way around it is to just ignore the threat on the main scheme and hope you can defeat Taskmaster before it gets too high and you lose. But that is a fairly risky strategy. Hunting down heroes, now you need 12 threat for it to be successful. It starts with 1 threat on there. And after resolving step 1 of the villain phase, that is to say when threat is put on the main scheme, each player in hero form must choose to either place 1 threat or take 1 damage. So again, you've already got the hideous when you change the hero form skill. Now if you stay in hero form, you are being royally punished, which is mean. Okay. But let's go to those allies, because actually this is my favourite bit about playing against Taskmaster. Because there are 4 copies of the side scheme captured by Hydra. Now, it gives an acceleration token, so an extra threat goes on the main scheme every villain phase. And it starts with 5 threat on, which is quite a bit for a side scheme. But when it's revealed, you take a random captive ally and put it face down under the scheme. And when you defeat the scheme, you put that ally into your hand, but you remove this scheme from the game. And the reason there are 4 of these cards is that there are 4 allies, so it's essentially 1 ally per side scheme. And honestly, you want this side scheme to come out. Most villains don't have cards that you want to see as encounter cards. Oh my goodness, you want to see this as an encounter card. Because the allies are nuts. Now, they're all 0-cost allies, so when you beat Captured by Hydra, you put the ally in your hand, and then you can play it for free. And you got Moon Knight that's got 2 thwart or attack with 1 damage taken back, 3 health, and after you play it, you can pay any resource to draw 2 cards. Shang-Chi, which again has got 2 thwart, 2 attack, 3 health. But after you play Shang-Chi, you can spend an energy resource to stun an enemy, which is awesome. White Tiger that's got 3 thwart, 1 attack. All of these take 1 damage back, with 3 health. And after you play White Tiger, you may pay a science resource to remove 3 threat from a scheme. And Elektra's got 1 thwart, 3 attack. They're all got 3 health. And after you play Elektra, you may spend a physical resource to deal 3 damage to an enemy. So these are all ridiculous allies that are really, really good. It's why you're crossing your fingers Captured by Hydra comes into play. Now, when you're playing through the campaign properly, that is to say, as a series of 5 fights, Taskmaster comes in as 3 out of 5, but any of these allies that you rescue go into your deck for the rest of the encounter, for the rest of the campaign, although the encounter as well. So when you're playing against Zola and Red Skull, you've got these ready. And the way this makes me play differently is there are games when I will legitimately go, you know what, I'm having a good game, he's not that close to winning. I'm going to leave him on 1 health so that I can just go for a few more turns, stay in alter ego mode and be thwarting and all of that. Keep the scheme down, stay in alter ego mode, keep him on 1 health, don't defeat him. Because I'm trying to liberate my allies, because these being 0-cost allies that you can use in the following encounters is nuts. Although, frankly, anytime I'm being asked to play in a different way, or asking myself to play in a different way, this is fun. So personally, I love playing against Taskmaster. Partly it is because the allies are awesome, but I also genuinely love the challenge of, can I beat Taskmaster while liberating all of the allies? That makes it a lot more fun for me. So in terms of what Taskmaster's doing against me rather than what Taskmaster's doing for me, I mean, it really is a Hydra-focused set. We got a couple of Hydra hunters there. Minions with 2 scheme, 2 attack, 3 health. But the attacks have got piercing. They will remove your tough counter before doing damage. And ranged, not affected by retaliate. And also, right, when they come out as a boost, if you're in hero form, you take 1 damage. If you're not, you place 1 threat on the main scheme. Taskmaster's got some meanness to him. And then we do have the other Hydra stuff which do come in the encounter sets, or the other Hydra minions. We've got Taskmaster's sword, we kinda have to, be weird if we didn't. That you attach to Taskmaster, it gives +1 attack. Does mean the attacks gain piercing, i.e. will go through your tough counter. Though you have the option of spending a science and a physical resource to discard the card. And we couldn't have Taskmaster's sword without Taskmaster's shield. That you attach to Taskmaster, and it gives him Retaliate 1. When you attack, you take a damage back. Though you can exhaust your hero and spend 2 resources to remove it, just like you can with the sword. Same resources and all. There are a couple copies of Photographic Reflexes. Now, it is an attachment with a forced interrupt. When a player attacks Taskmaster, you prevent all damage that would be dealt, and deal an equal amount of damage to that player's identity instead. Now, it does get discarded afterwards, but this is awkward. Because you essentially end up, when Photographic Reflex is attached, you end up having to try and attack with a minion. I mean, I ended up attacking with Goliath. And Goliath sucks as an attacker until you use the I'm hitting for 5 and get discarded at the end of the turn attack. But I didn't want to take too much damage. This can hurt you. That one can really hurt you if you're not ready. There's then a couple copies of Mimicry. When you're in Alter Ego, you discard the top 5 cards of your deck, and if a thwart card was discarded this way, you schemes. And in Hero Mode, you discard the top 5 cards of your deck, and if an attack card was discarded this way, Taskmaster attacks you. And then we've got Hunted by Hydra. There's only 2 copies of this, so again, these are all 2 ofs. It's got Insight 1. When it's revealed, you put threat on the main scheme. Remember, this will put threat on the main scheme when you're in hero mode, and generally speaking, in hero mode, you are assuming the threat won't be put on. This can lose your games if you're not careful. Oh, and when revealed, each player in hero form takes 1 damage and discards 1 card at random from their hand. Like I've said, Taskmaster does not like heroes. And then finally, we got one copy of Taskmaster's Training Camp. It gives an extra encounter card every turn, and there's 2 threat on there per person. But after a minion enters play, you give it a tough status card. And I've told you this is generally played with all of the Hydra encounter sets, which bring in lots of Hydra minions. Yeah, this is one you're going to want to take out rather quickly indeed. Taskmaster is a very weird kind of villain. If you can get lots of allies into play and stay in alter ego mode, you're going to have a much easier time. But honestly, with Taskmaster, when you're in the campaign, especially, there is a real secondary objective here. There was one game I managed to actually liberate all 4 of the allies, and that helped so much in the last 2 rounds. But there was one game where I didn't actually manage to liberate any of them, and the campaign was harder as a result. And incidentally, when you've got a campaign, this is what you're looking for. Taskmaster, for me, really shows what a good campaign Rise of the Red Skull can be, because it makes me play differently to try and plan for subsequent turns of my campaign, and that really is what we're looking for. I'm a big fan of Taskmaster. Go Taskmaster! But I'd like to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you, ladies and gentlemen? Have you played it? If so, tell me what you think, and if you haven't, tell me what you think, having seen all the cards here. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy. That's where we talk Marvel Champions and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.